Bet Labs is a powerful tool for quickly generating data-driven betting systems using tens of thousands of games worth of historical betting data. We're going to give you a quick tour of it today. Basically going to walk through what it takes to make a system. So before I start, I guess anyone who's tried to make a betting system before, you know that there's a lot of work involved. Basically you need some statistical knowledge, maybe some computer programming knowledge. You have to track down all of the betting data if you can. Often have to pay for that as well. And there's a lot of work involved, usually months if not years, in building a successful model. So our goal with Bet Labs was to take our powerful historical database and make it a little bit more accessible, or a lot more accessible, through an interface. So with Bet Labs, we like to say that anybody can build a system within minutes. So let's do that now. I'm going to go ahead and name my system NBA System. So you name your system, you pick your sport. In this case, I'm going to pick NBA, and you choose your line type. We're going to go ahead and stick with spread. So then I click on create system. And one of the things we've done to try to make it easier for people is add these tooltips. So we'll follow along with the tooltips here. Let's see, getting started. To begin, add one of the filters from the available filters section. So these are your available filters, and filters are just different ways to test out ideas for your betting system. So you can sort by team. You could say show me all the dogs or all the favorites, home or away. Sort by winning percentage, and these are just going to be different ways to test out your theories. So I'm going to start with public betting data. If you're not familiar with public betting data, this is one of the things that makes Sports Insights really unique. We actually have information on tens of thousands of matches in terms of how many bets are on which team for each match. So what we're going to look at here is spread percentage, and this is going to show the percentage of bets that have been placed on the spread. Value should be between 0 and 100%, it tells us. So I want to see, I don't know, I can just start pulling the slider out. If I bet on every single team that received between 2 and 46% of the bet, this is what the results would be. So we can see right away you've got the record up here, the amount of money in this case that you would have lost, and your ROI. So that's not very appealing up there. So let's see if I can't dial that into something that looks a little more interesting. So you can see I can just kind of play with these sliders here, see if I can dial something in. I'm going to go ahead and say 30%, because I know I've messed around with this earlier. And that gives me something a little bit more profitable. So I'll probably run with this and see if we can improve upon it. While I'm on the screen, I'm going to show you that we also allow you to break it down by actual sports book. So the market would be the average of these books, and if you look at 5 dimes, you can see that would change the results. You can see instantly change up at the top. So let's go ahead and hit Save Filter. And our next tooltip tells us screen narrative. So this is a section that explains filters in real world terms. So as you build your system, you may forget, well, what are my filters doing? And we actually just spell it out for you here. So NBA spread wagers, that were the results when the spread percentage was between 0 and 30%. Then we walk you through, and there's a few different ways to measure the success of your system. So here we see the total money won. This is the amount of money that you would have won if you put $100 on each of the matching games. So we use a flat betting system to calculate it, and the assumption is that if you would put $100 down on each match, if the odds are negative 110, you would bet 100 to win 91. If the odds were plus 130, you would bet 100 to win 130. So go ahead and hit next. This is your return on investment per game, wagered in percent. So ROI, just another way to look at the success of your system. Let's hit next. Results graph. So this is one of my favorite parts of Bet Labs. After you type in, your system criteria, you can automatically see sort of a visual feedback in terms of performance. So while this was, profitable or barely profitable, really it was doing well several years ago, and has since then sort of taken a dip and start to come back up a little bit. Past results, so you can see all of the past games in grid format. This is actually pretty neat. So this is going to go through our entire database and find any games that fit the criteria of your betting system. What I like to do is go ahead and sort by date, so you can see these are some of the earliest games that fit, but perhaps more importantly, these are the most recent games that fit your betting system. You can see we've got 4 wins here. Let's see, next. Current game matches. So this was one of the most highly requested features for BetLabs. After you build your system, BetLabs will constantly check to see if any games meet the criteria of your system. So this saves you a lot of time and energy. Maybe you have existing systems you like to use, but you're not always sure when and which games fit. This will go ahead and tell you which games fit your system. Let's hit next. Okay, so that's the high-level tooltip tour, but let's see if we can't improve upon our existing system here. So if we go back to our filters side, right now we're showing all, if we had bet on every team with a spread percentage between 0 and 30%, I'm going to add to that, let's go into home or away. And I can see here that if I add visitor, should make my system more profitable, right? So you can see it also changes up here. So my sample size has gotten a little bit smaller, but my ROI has gone way up. So I hit Save Filter. I'm going to close out the tooltips. And you can see this looks a lot more appealing. Specifically, these last 3 years seem like they're doing all right. So what I can do now is go in and look at time period. Let's see, custom date range. And I want to change this to just the last couple of years maybe. Or let's go 2010. Save filter. Or we'll let it update up here. So you can see it updates to show a smaller record and adjusts. The ROI went up a little bit again. Let's see, save. And this kind of gives us the zoomed in view. So once you've gone through, if you find that you don't need the tooltips anymore, you can hit the hide BetLabs tips and they'll go away, but they're popping up right now for the sake of the demo. Let's see. So yeah, this gives you a closer in view in terms of how it performed over the last several years, and that'll also be reflected in your past results tab. So another thing to know, let's say you've added in, we've got a few filters going here, and we want to dial one or another in a little bit. Let's see, I can go in here and change this again. So I don't have to add that same filter a second time. I can just basically go in and change the date there, change it there, hit Save Filter, and it'll go ahead and update. If I want to remove that filter, I can just click this X. You sure you want to delete this filter? Yes, please. And that'll get me back to where I was before I had added the date range. So that's really it for BetLabs. I mean, our goal was to make it as powerful as possible while making it easy to use. So you've got a bunch of filters here that do some pretty cool stuff. You can get all the way down to player level info or official info, and the power is starting with something and then just adding these other filters in combination, finding ways to adjust them to find an edge based on the historical data. Once you're done with your system, it'll actually automatically save it for you, and if you want to start a new one, you can go ahead and click New or Open System. Let's go ahead and do that. So you can see I've got the 2 systems here. It shows me the games that fit within those systems. In this case, the game fits both of these systems. I'm going to close that. Let's see. Let's go ahead into here. 2 matches. So yeah, that's pretty much it for BetLabs. We hope you enjoyed the tour. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through chat or through email, and we hope you find it a useful tool. Take care.